Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you so much. My name is Tamika Felder. I'm so honored to be here with you all today for this momentous launch to recognize the collaborative effort to make progress in both breast and cervical cancers. Thank you to the First Lady, the Cancer Moonshot, the American Cancer Society, and so many more. As someone who has been touched by cancer in so many ways, I am beyond touched by the commitment to health equity and the inclusion of survivors and advocates as members, as well as in the National Roundtable on Cervical Cancer Leadership. I am so grateful. Patient voices are invaluable, and it is the sharing of our stories that continue to influence change and make an impact. Cancer has been a constant in my life from early on. My father died of colon cancer the day before my 17th birthday. He was my very best friend. Never did I imagine that I would endure my own diagnosis of cancer less than a decade later. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2001 at the age of 25. I endured a radical hysterectomy, followed by chemotherapy and radiation therapy. They were tough, but I'm so thankful that I didn't succumb to cervical cancer. But I did lose my fertility, and my life, because of that, has been forever changed by that experience. Having cancer is hard. Surgery is hard. Chemotherapy, radiation is hard. And the constant fear of death. I survived it, but not without the residual effects that are life-lasting. There are no easy cancers, and they all matter. When I was diagnosed, I felt alone. There were no other cervical cancer patients and survivors sharing their stories, and accessible information was scarce. I did something about that. I created what I wish I had, an organization called Survivor, by survivors, run by cervical cancer survivors. And it is our mission to empower, motivate, and train patient advocates to use their stories to do what we're all here to do today, make progress in cervical cancer and the breast cancer space. Simply, we all collectively are working to ensure that no woman feels alone. That is a goal shared by these roundtable launches, the Cancer Moonshot, and the First Lady. As I stand here with you all, I can't help but think about all people diagnosed with cancer. But I especially want to share the names of Jeanette Acosta, Erica Fraser-Stum, Nanette Quintanilla, Tialita Rickenbacker, Holly Lawson, Becky Wallace, who died a year ago this month, Jillian Scalfani, Curtissa Clay, and so many women who have died of cervical cancer and used their voice for change up until the last breath. I miss them all. No one should die of cervical cancer. We have multiple tools, practices, and support to make sure that this does not happen. But sadly, people are still dying. For me, it is personal. My legacy will not be the lives that I bring into this world, but it will be the lives that I save. I am committed to making my survivorship count. I'm joining this effort. Together in collaboration, we can end cervical cancer and accelerate progress against breast cancer. I want to thank you for your time, but mostly I want to thank you for your commitment. That's why we're all here together. I now have the honor of welcoming recording artist and preventive cancer screening advocate, Ms. Mary J. Blige. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Mary J. Blige, and I'm really, truly honored to be here today. Thank you, Tamika. Meeting you the other night after my show in Brooklyn and hearing more about your story and mission today is such an inspiration. I'm here today as a Black woman who is passionate about using my platform to encourage other women to prioritize their health, namely their annual well women's visits, mammograms, PAPs, plus HPV tests. I lost aunts, not an aunt, but several family members to breast cancer, grandmother to cervical cancer, lung cancer, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on every time I look around. Before we even knew they were sick, because the practice of not wanting other people in our business and keeping these topics to ourselves is so deeply rooted into our culture. It wasn't until many years later that I learned that being proactive about our health is not something we should keep to ourselves. That's why I've dedicated a great deal of my time to increasing awareness of the importance of preventative screenings, reminding people that their health is their wealth, and urging them to make it a priority. It's not always easy, we all know that. Time is a huge barrier for all women. There are also a lot of misconceptions about mammograms. And for Black women, many fear a cancer diagnosis and becoming a burden to the family if diagnosed. And while the screening rate for Black women and white women are comparable, Black women are more likely to be screened at lower resource facilities and also experience longer intervals between detection, diagnosis, and treatment. That's why milestones like Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the work you all are doing here over the next few days is so important. I'm convinced that if all my aunts, my godmother, my grandparents would have the opportunity to see a campaign like the ones on which I partnered with the Black Women's Health Imperative that directed them to go for information, they would have a different outcome today. With that being said, now I want to turn this over to Dr. K, CEO of the American Cancer Society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an incredible pleasure to be here. This is just 8 short months after I had the honor of being in this room with Dr. Biden and President Biden as the Moonshot was reignited. The comments that day truly resonated with us at the American Cancer Society. We represent all 1.9 million Americans who hear each year that they will have cancer. And we are certainly absolutely resonating with the goal of the Moonshot to end cancer as we know it. Our goal is to improve the lives of cancer patients and their families, and we do that through research, through advocacy, through providing direct patient support, and as evidenced by today, putting together key stakeholders in a room to go toward a common goal. We today deliver on something that we promised in the hours after the Moonshot reignition, which is to stand side by side with the president and with the administration to reduce the burden of cancer across the country, and are enthusiastic today about announcing the launch of 2 critical ground shots sponsored by the American Cancer Society on the way toward that cancer moonshot. And these ground shots come in the form of the launch of the American Cancer Society National Breast Cancer Roundtable and the American Cancer Society National Roundtable on Cervical Cancer. We have a significant sense of urgency today in doing so. Breast cancer, unfortunately, as we stand here, remains the second leading cause of cancer death for women in this country. And for Black women and Hispanic women, the #1 leading cause of cancer death for some of the reasons that Mary so beautifully outlined for you. Mortality rates are 40% higher in Black women versus whites in this country from breast cancer, and we call that unacceptable. This is due in large part to diagnosis at a later stage, acquisition of aggressive disease, delays in treatment, and reduced access to quality care. These are things that the ACS Roundtable for Breast Cancer can overcome through partnership. Cervical cancer also creates a significant sense of urgency around the country, with more than 14,000 individuals expected to be diagnosed in this country alone this year, with more than 4,000 deaths. And disparities are profound, sometimes geographic, in the Deep South and in Appalachia. Black women also are 80% more likely to die of cervical cancer than white counterparts. We can and we must eliminate cervical cancer. That's within our power with the cancer vaccine in the form of vaccination against HPV. And the ground shot ACS Roundtable will attack these issues. Roundtables are not new to the American Cancer Society, and they're not new to many of the partners in this room. They have a rich history of impact and are powered by collaboration. Roundtables serve to assemble key stakeholders to find meaningful synergy to execute toward a defined goal. We actually launched the first Roundshot Roundtable from the American Cancer Society here at the White House for colorectal cancer, which was more than a quarter of a century ago and has led to a significant uptake in colorectal cancer screening and awareness. Based on that success, we launched 3 more on lung cancer, on HPV vaccination uptake, and also on patient navigation, which we know leads to better outcomes for cancer patients. So today we double down. We commit our contribution to the Moonshot through these 2 additional roundtables that will focus on achievable goals related to health equity, access to care, and using patient support from every aspect of the continuum, prevention to survivorship. So what does that mean in real terms? What can you expect from us? In year 1 from these roundtables, you can expect from us a commitment of organizational members to partner toward increasing access to screening and to quality cancer care for breast and cervical cancer. You can expect delivery on health policy, giving recommendation and realistic strategies toward measurably reducing cancer disparities in the country for breast and cervical cancer. And third, you can expect us to deliver roadmaps toward the goal of increasing access to and through cancer screening. It's not enough to get women into screening, and we must do more once a diagnosis has been made. And this will also include, as part of the screening strategies, early detection whenever possible, including but not limited to in-home screening. So what is the long-term goal of these roundtables? The long-term goal is to use the power of the roundtable to end breast and cervical cancer as we know it for everyone. And so I'd like to thank our partners in advance. We have more than 40 organizations signed on so far. Many more will follow after today's launch. I'd like to thank our roundtable chairs for cervical cancer, Dr. Novetsky, Ms. Arundel, and Dr. Saslow. For breast cancer, Dr. Alapati, Dr. Williams, and ACS's own Dr. Kamal. And I'd like to thank Dr. Biden and the White House for allowing us to be here today on this important historic launch and for inspiring us to put the resources forward toward these roundtables. Through these powerful roundtables, these ground shots, together we can and will make a difference because we must, because we have the collective expertise, and because, frankly, the world is counting on us to improve the lives of individuals from cancer and to create a better future. So with that in mind, I'd like to now introduce Dr. Jill Biden, who will speak a little bit more about the Moonshot and how the roundtables fit into that vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Not only is she such an impressive doctor, she's also a Phillies fan. And Karen, you bring such a spirit of collaboration to this work that's such an inspiration, and we're grateful for you and for the American Cancer Society for being, such great partners, as you've said, for many, many years now. And Mary, thank you for lending your powerful voice to this cause. Karen described a bright future, but in order to get there, we can't leave anyone behind. And Tamika, by telling your story, you are making women everywhere feel less alone and helping it to ensure that they can access the care that they need. There are certain words that have the power to make time stop. Malignant, aggressive, terminal, cancer, they can still the air around us, freeze our bodies into place as we feel the world we knew slipping away. In the span of a breath, 1,000 questions fill our minds. What do I do? Who do I tell? How will I afford this? Will I be able to see my kids grow up? In February, the President and I reignited the Cancer Moonshot with a bold ambition to build a world where the word cancer forever loses its power. We're doing that by breaking down the barriers that hold back critical collaboration and research. We're investing more money than ever before in new treatments and therapies and making sure that people can get the best cutting-edge care. And we're creating better ways to help patients and their loved ones understand and navigate, as you said, that's so important, navigate their care. So what does the world we're building look like? It's a world where people don't have to face complicated plans alone, where they don't lose their life savings just trying to survive, where treatments are less toxic and patients and the people who love them have the support that they need to thrive, where a diagnosis is no longer a death sentence. The Cancer Moonshot is about a future where we don't have to be afraid of cancer anymore. And today, we're coming together to make that future real. When Joe and I issued a call to action, the American Cancer Society answered by bringing this proven roundtable strategy to 2 diseases that have taken so many lives: breast and cervical cancer. We are joined by doctors and scientists, business leaders and government officials, entertainers and professors. Why? Because it takes all of us. You know, from hospitals to the National Football League, from academia to industry, working together to share our best ideas and resources. Thanks in part to many people in this room, we now have a better understanding of how cancers develop. And we have more ways than ever to prevent, detect, and treat them. Together, we're going to make sure that everyone has access to the screenings they need so that they can catch cancer before it becomes deadly. We're going to find the best way to help people get vaccines, screenings like mammograms and pap smears, and all of the care that they need, no matter their race, zip code, or background. And we're going to come together to accelerate research so we can better treat these diseases and save more lives. None of us can beat cancer alone. And it will take all of us putting patients and their loved ones at the center of their own cancer journey, from screenings to survivorship. Yes, the word cancer still has the power to strike fear into our hearts. But it doesn't have to be that way, because we have power too, more than we ever know. We're going to create a world where we can discover and dream our way past its paralysis, where we come together as a united community and rewrite the story that cancer tells. Thank you for being a part of the future that we're building together. Thank you for helping us end cancer as we know it for good. Thank you.